baby, and one more time. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Source Material Comics Podcast. That is right. We have returned, and we are doing a new trilogy of books. I know of one theme that runs through all three of these books, but maybe Mark Radulich can tell us some additional things I might be missing, because there very well could be something. And he is here, Mark Radulich, the patriarch of the Radulich and Broadcasting Network. We're starting a new trilogy, buddy.
So Silver Surfer Black by Donny Cates. We're doing Hawkeye Freefall by Matthew Rosenberg. And then Avengers Defenders Tarot by Alan Davis. And the reason I picked these three books is because they were short and you said yes. No.
Not a whole lot goes into it.
Well, the other thing is when I take my kids to the movies, if there's time, we also go to the bookstore, and then I will wander the comic book aisles and see if there's anything. You know me. I am like king of the self-contained trade. You guys with your ongoing issues and collections and things like that. No, sir. No, thank you.
Negative.
I am all about the self-contained story. So I picked these three books in the bookstore at three separate occasions because I was like, okay, Silver Surfer Black, this was a somewhat self-contained story. I mean, I think it's spun out of maybe some sort of Infinity storyline.
There was something that was going on prior to this, because they kind of covered that at the beginning of it. Like,
right. But it was self-contained enough that, it was kind of like, hey, for future, if you want to know what this is, go read this story. Otherwise, here it is, Silver Surfer Black. And then there was Hawkeye Freefall, which was a self-contained limited series, as was Avengers Defenders Tarot. And I know you and I like to do stuff off the beaten path. We started with the three crime noir books at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
And then it was like, hey, we've been wanting to do some heavy metal comics for a while, and we picked some doozies.
Yeah, yeah, we did.
But I'm not gonna lie, Jesse. This is all about me.
Uh-huh.
This is all about me, Jesse.
I hear you.
All about me and my pile of unread comics. So I picked three short, self-contained stories from stuff that I've been buying and haven't had a chance to read. And I was like, let's do Marvel this time. Maybe we'll do DC, and then we'll see, what there is to see after that. But yeah, that's what we're here for. So Let's get into Silver Surfer Black, baby.
Yeah, man. So
Black is back, all in. We're gonna win.
Check it out.
Here we go again.
This was a book that I'd heard a lot about, and when you said you'd picked it up, I was genuinely excited because I was like, man, I'll actually have a chance to, sit down and talk with Mark about a book. I mean, absolutely both of us decided on at some point. There was a lot of buzz about this book. As to why, I don't know. And I also think that I have it a little bit confused with, there's another book out there where the surfer is kind of like acting like very similar to Doctor Who. That's not happening here. There's some time travel involved, but it's definitely not the
so instead of a surfboard, he's in a TARDIS?
Well, let's just put it this way. He has a companion, which that is a hallmark of the Doctor Who series. So that's what I was like, oh, man, I want to check that out. But I had been hearing them talk about Silver Surfer Black, and I was getting them confused. But regardless, people were talking about Silver Surfer Black and the other one, which I can't remember what the name of it is. Somebody out there's yelling at their podcast screen right now. But or just walking and listening to us, and they're screaming, and people are looking at them. But didn't know much about what we were going to get. I just knew it was going to be wild. So this is Silver Surfer Black, Donny Cates, which you guys covered, I think, a Donny Cates book. I'm pretty sure you and Evan did, which might be... Was it
Deadpool the Duck?
I can't remember. I want to say it was Baby Ghost, or not Baby Thanos.
Baby, what do you call it? Cosmic Ghost Rider. Baby Thanos must die. Yeah.
I'm pretty
that's a
sure.
Lard song, or it might not have been Lard. It might have that might have been 70s Rock Must Die. But Baby Thanos must die.
So I know you have had a chance to read much of him. I've heard his name a lot, but I don't think that I've had a chance to read, or at least never paid attention to his name on anything that caught me. So kind of excited about that. Our story / art is by a guy by the name of, well, let's just put it this way, a person by the name of Trad Moore. Then we have Dave Stewart on colors, and VC's Clayton Coles, which VC shows up quite a bit here. I assume that's a company, but VC's Clayton Coles on the lettering. So are you ready to get into this? I'll do a synopsis and we'll kind of break things down, what you thought of this book.
Hit me with that hot synopsis, you devil you.
Norrin Radd became the Herald of Galactus, known as the Silver Surfer. Armed with his surfboard and the power cosmic, the Silver Surfer once brought death to many planets. But now, free of his servitude to Galactus, he has become a champion of the galaxy, fighting alongside many heroes of Earth. However, as a result of taking part in a most epic cosmic battle, the Silver Surfer has found himself thrust billions of years back in time to a distant planet. Immediately attacked, the Surfer begins to realize he is on a planet that is home to a familiar enemy, the alien symbiotes. Not only that, but this planet is also home to the symbiote god Knull, who has taken notice of Silver Surfer's light and looks to overtake it. Can the Silver Surfer survive Knull's attacks and avoid being consumed by the symbiotes? It's all right here in the Silver Surfer Black.
It's like Gilda Radner. It all adds up.
Oh man! So yeah, there you go. That's a nice little brief 1-paragraph synopsis of what you're about to get here in Silver Surfer Black, and we're going to spoil it, folks. So if you are afraid of spoilers, just be aware. I'll throw it to you here first, Mark. I mean, I got one question for you. One of the things that stuck out of here first for me was the art style.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, man? I know you're not the biggest art critic unless it's Sam Keith, but I mean, what do you think?
I'm not a huge fan of Sam Elliott. It was very unique.
Okay.
So there's like that Kingdom Come photorealistic art. Then there's like comic booky art that you know is clearly not real, but at least it is objects you can make out. And then there's these fucking like Roald Dolly fucking artists where it looks like I'm drawing Spider-Man and they just threw like paint at the canvas. You know, look, Spider-Man. You know, like an Art Deco approach to fucking comic book artistry, which I'm not a huge fan of.
Yeah.
You know, someone's like oil painting of Lobo. Like, look, I took a sponge and smeared paint. Lobo.
See the blood?
This is this is very unique in that it's readable. You know how Robert and I, when we talk about film, this action sequence was readable, this was not readable. This action sequence in Mad Max Fury Road was very readable. I knew where the combatants were, where they weren't, what they were doing. I could follow what was going on. This action sequence in Transformers had some robot balls in it, but that's all I really remember. It just felt like smashing pots and pans together.
Right.
Couldn't figure out what I was watching. While this doesn't look photorealistic, and I wouldn't necessarily even say it's very comic booky, this has, I think, a very distinct style to it where it's readable, but it definitely feels like a little on that, like I was saying, like that oil painting side.
I agree.
Very
fluid.
Fluid's a really good word. It feels like there are no hard shapes in this.
Right.
There are no angles. It's all very rounded, if you catch my meaning. And I like it. I like it because it's unique. It's very different from any other comic book artistry that I've seen previously. I know I was kind of reading some of the reviews on Goodreads. People were not huge fans. But I think when you're dealing in Marvel Cosmic, you have I think a wider expanse of different art styles to play with that match the aesthetic and the theme. And I think this one does. I think this idea of like space but puke kind of thing going on works for this particular story.
I agree with you there because I definitely get that. As far as Marvel Cosmic goes, this is kind of why, street level starch. You're not going to see this type of art style normally on a Punisher book.
No.
You will see it in Doctor Strange. Yeah.
It works really. I've read enough Doctor Strange and I've seen this kind of stuff, and it works well in those pages. This
has kind of made a name for itself. This Trad Moore has made a name for themselves here with this type of art. And I will say that as much as I'm not Marvel Cosmic guy, I enjoyed this. I think there's a way to convey what's going on and how kind of outside of like, man, this is stuff beyond your comprehension. This is Marvel Cosmic. And they got to kind of get that across with the art, which, and some of the stuff looks cool.
Can we talk about that for a second? Because there's Marvel Cosmic, and then there's the CIA knew the FBI was setting up the DEA, but in space.
Right.
Just because it's Marvel Cosmic doesn't mean it's convoluted and up its own ass. And you have Baby Darkseid and Superboy punching the universe.
Right.
True fucking story, by the way. Superboy punched the universe. Okay.
That's right.
I have a studio audience and I'm talking to the Peanut Gallery, and they need to know, Tommy, that Superboy punched the universe. Comic books are ridiculous. Anyway, this is not that. This is not baby Thanos. This is not baby Darkseid. I can't believe they were two babies of the same character, by the way.
Right.
Comic books are stupid. This was a very straightforward story. The Silver Surfer got sucked into a toilet bowl in space.
Yeah.
And he found in there the most deadliest of bosses, Knull. And he was like, be right back. I'm going to go get a big bat. And Knull said, okay. And along the way, he finds a bat named Galactus. And Ego and the Watcher are both like, probably not a good idea to try to kill Knull with Galactus, but...
It definitely gets a little bit crazy. What I did like about this, of course, I'm a fan of time travel. And when he realizes that he's like millions of years into the past, I said billions, I'm just rounding. They didn't give us a number. But and he finds like the Galactus incubator. From what I understand, Galactus was a being in his own universe at one point. His universe dies. He finds a way over into ours, and then he
was
awakens.
Hungry for the big taste of honeycombs.
he shows up. Silver Surfer realizes that he is now in a position, because this book opens up talking about how he was the herald of death, pretty much. I mean, he would show up and Galactus would eat things, and it clearly bothered him.
It weighed on his conscience that he was committing genocide on a planetary level on an ongoing basis.
Exactly.
Can we talk about that for just a second? That the story of the Silver Surfer is also kind of dumb. Because here's the thing, right? He's on his planet. He has his girl. And he was like, please don't eat my planet, which would kill countless zillions of people, but also my broad, who's really the only person on the planet I care about. So what if I pick out other juicy planets for you to eat? Because I don't care about any of those people. I just want this chick to live. And Galactus is like, I don't fucking care. As long as I eat, fine. And he gives him the power cosmic, and he gives him his surfboard. I mean, by the time he got to Earth, he had been doing the job for a fair bit.
Oh, yeah.
And because it's comic books and comic book fans live on Earth, Earth is the one planet he's like, oh, don't eat this one. These people are special. What?
I have no idea.
All the fucking universe, you had all these planets where all of them, meth heads? All of them just dumbasses. All of them watching, it's an entire planet of people who watch Jerry Springer. Fuck these people. But the Earthlings are a special kind of girl.
Someone talked him into something. Obviously, just like you said, this is weighed on. This is weighed on his conscience for so long, and now he has the opportunity to try and make things different. And that was pretty neat when he pulls. Essentially, the Galactus incubator has buried itself into Ego. Ego is dying because of that. He pulls this thing out and he's like, "Holy crap! It's Galactus." Crib.
It was like the mouse who pulled the thorn out of. It was like the mouse who pulled the thorn out of the lion's paw.
Right.
It's like, let me remove that from you. Oh, that's so much better. How can I help you, little mouse? And the little mouse is the Silver Surfer.
That was him. So yeah, Galactus about got chucked into the sun. Go ahead.
Well, I do like the Watchers thing because one of the things that got established in Marvel Cosmic was Galactus was a force of nature. You can no such stop Galactus as you could a hurricane or an earthquake. These are things that have to happen. This is the natural order of the universe. And there's the Silver Surfer like, I'm gonna throw a Galactus into Knull. How about that? Kill two birds with one stone. And the Watcher's like, I know I'm just supposed to sit here and watch, but oof. There are a handful of mistakes we're supposed to be like, not a good idea. This is one of them.
This is a bad idea. Which I thought was
amusing. This is a good idea, bad idea.
He made he made a solid argument like, okay, look, man, you could do this, but the blood's still going to be on your hands, even though you saved these people. You still have blood on your hands. And that's a lot about what this book's, I think, trying to address is like how Silver Surfer has tried to deal with what he's done in the past and thinks that this is a solution to do it. But no matter what, even when he faces, which is pretty cool, he goes into the incubator and talks to Galactus. And Galactus, I actually have the exchange right here, which I thought was pretty cool. He looks
after he talks to the Watcher. By the way, he's like, "Uatu, what are you doing here?" And Uatu says, "A very brief cameo." Uatu's going to show up in make a couple cameos in these books here. Galactus and Silver Surfer's having a talk inside the incubator. Silver Surfer's like, you become a destroyer of worlds. You feast upon them in the name of some unseen scale you claim to balance. So Galactus has no intention of doing that initially. Galactus looks at him and says, oh, okay, I see. If I may,
is that not also your excuse? So he's talking to him about how Silver Surfer, is coming in there doing exactly what Galactus is doing by doing some type of balancing of some unseen scale, which I thought was a neat exchange. And it's especially for Silver Surfer to kind of grasp, like, look, dude, this is what you're doing, and what you're doing is no different.
Let me tell you the difference between this and like Darkseid War, which is like the thing I mostly compare to, or even like Infinite Crisis, which Superboy punches the universe. I don't mind pseudo philosophy, the pseudo philosophy that tends to be in Marvel Cosmic. It has its place there. It's good to be there.
Right.
And I think some of the ideas that are examined in Marvel Cosmic are interesting ones, as opposed to when I think some of these writers, like with Darkseid War, you're being pseudo-philosophical for pseudo-philosophy's sake. And you're not making any sense. You're not making any points. You're too smart by half, and the writing is not as sharp or as witty as they would think it is, or as deep, for that matter. Whereas there were some interesting ideas in this about dealings with guilt. I think that's something that that resonates with a general audience. The guilt of the burden that he has. It was like, going out and fighting all of these planets for Galactus. And, and what greater good is served by allowing Galactus to continue to do what he's doing, or stopping him, in his crib, essentially, that sort of thing. And then, then all the stuff with Knull at the end. I thought this book handled some heady subject matter with grace, which is not something I can say for a lot of books that deal in Cosmic.
Right. Things are getting lost in the insanity that's happening. I don't know whatever message you're trying to get across isn't there.
Yeah, it comes across like the Scarlet Pimpernel. It's like, and then the dam broke. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah,
right. Stay on point.
So one of the things I kind of wanted to point out here out of my notes, we actually covered this on an episode of Unspoken Issues where we talked about cosmic carnage. Back in the 90s, at one point, Spider-Man shows up to stop Cletus Kasady, who has the Carnage symbiote on him. And it turns out Silver Surfer's just flying by, he flies on down there, and he ends up, the Carnage symbiote recognizes Silver Surfer, and it's deathly afraid of him. Takes off into the sewer, and the only thing that anybody knew, there was no canon for this at the time, other than just that, holy crap, the Surfer must have brought Galactus to their planet at some point in the past. I don't think that was ever touched upon again until this story. And the reason why they are scared of him is because of the events that happen in this book, where Surfer faces off with their god, Knull. I think that's pretty neat that we're coming back 30 years to tell a story that, I mean, granted, this is a good story just set alone by itself, but it also feeds into something that happened 30 years ago and sets a precedent or some canon for it. So what do you think of Knull here? Because this is the first comic I've ever read Knull in.
He's fine. Villain, video game boss, more like it.
I mean, god of the symbiotes.
He was the least interesting part of the story.
Really?
So, like, in the movies, right, you set up your big bad at the beginning, and he kicks the hero's ass. And so the hero has to lick his wounds, train, figure out how he's going to come back, and then they have their rematch at the end of the movie. He's Clubber Lang.
Okay, all right. So
Clubber Lang beat the shit out of Rocky, and then Rocky had to go to L.A. and gaily run on the sand with Apollo. It had that like cinematic quality to it, where it's like he kicks the Silver Surfer's ass. Silver Surfer makes a run for it. He goes, he ends up on Ego. He pulls the thorn out of Ego's paw. He has a conversation with Galactus. He deals with Uatu the Watcher, and then he's like, "All right, I am ready for the final conflict." And he goes back and defeats Knull and turns him into Audrey 2. My favorite part of this book is like their little wizards duel that they're having, where like the Surfer's turning into a snake and a wolf, and it's Galactus.
Galactus he's going into
like a hawk. Yeah, they were like doing Merlin versus Mad Madam Mim.
He doesn't come out of this unchanged, because by the end of this book, he is, as the book progresses, like a little bit of black is on his hand. Now, I think what we're seeing there is like some of Silver Surfer's energy is leaving him, and that's why he's turning black. That's my guess. I don't think it's the symbiote covering him.
I'm not gonna lie. This one kind of lost me, and by this point, I was like, I just want to get like the general like premise of what's happening here.
Yeah, by the end of it, he's, as this thing continues to take over him, by the end of this book, he comes out. Of course, he dies. He plants a flower. Yeah. The last issue, I don't know what's happening here. We're planting seeds, and this is all like cosmic stuff that's way above my head. And by the end of it, Silver Surfer, I think, is reborn in some way, but he's completely black. Okay.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is our coverage of Silver Surfer Black. That's Mark Radulich. He's going to tell us now about some plugs. Mark Radulich, let him.
Hey, our landing page for all things podcast is w2mnet.com. We put up pages for all of our podcasts, and each one has a link to the audio podcast and the YouTube video. So check those out. The Radulich and Broadcasting Network is live Mondays and Tuesdays for the most part for the near future because I'm social. Tuesdays is usually Damn You Hollywood, and Mondays could be a TV party, could be any number of things. Jesse and I, we've been going from the corner to the deuce. So I don't know when this is airing, but we have been looking at all the great works of David Simon. We reviewed The Corner, The Wire, Homicide, Treme, Generation Kill, possibly by the time this airs, Show Me a Hero. At some point, The Deuce, The Plot Against America. And hey, next year, because Ronnie insisted we're going to put the band back together, the old source material band, we're going to look at Sons of Anarchy.
Ooh.
Yeah, we roped you into that, by the way.
Yeah, well, my wife ain't going to hate you. She loved that show.
So check out the Radulich and Broadcasting Network on Spreaker, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. Check out our YouTube of the same, W2M Network on YouTube. We have a Twitch, the Radulich and Broadcasting Network Facebook page. We've got a History of Boxing Facebook page as well for all of the boxing stuff that Pat and I do. Or if I ever go back to doing live coverage of boxing, it's there as well. Our old live coverage that was audio only from before I was social, that's there. So check it all out. It's all there for you on the Radulich and Broadcasting Network Facebook page, History of Boxing Facebook page, and W2Mnet.com.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this, you are probably checking out the Source Material Comics feed, and we appreciate that. We got all sorts of great shows right here on the Source Material Comics podcast. You can hear Mark and I, like you mentioned earlier, talk about a trilogy of comics based on metal properties. We've talked about Iron Maiden, we talked about Slayer, and we even talked about Gwar. That was a lot of fun. You should go back and check those out. Also do the 90s-centric podcast, the Unspoken Issues podcast. And by this time, my goodness, I'm sure there's a ton of stuff that's out there that you could listen to, but go check out the one where I talk Cyberforce, 0 through 4. With that being said, that's Mark Radulich over there. I'm Jesse Starcher. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining us. All of this would not be possible without W2Mnet.com, so make sure to seek them out for more podcasts. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please feel free to share, and we look forward to entertaining you again soon.
Hey, that fight scene between Venom and looked like two cum stains having a fight. Like Honeycomb's big. Yeah. Galactus not small. No.
I'm certain it probably was Reed Richards. It's like, look, we've got a lot to offer here. It's Jerry Springer on this channel on Silver Surfer. It's like, oh, okay.
Look, have you seen tranny porn? No, you don't have that in space. Well, we have it on Earth because we're fucking weird.
No, Galactus, no.
Not the planet with the tranny porn. Galactus is like, I see your point, Surfer.
Yes.
And then he's saying, feed me, Surfer. Feed me all night long.
Feed me that light,
because if you feed me, Surfer, I can grow up big and strong.
Yes, he did. Great.
Yeah, I'm good with the Silver Surfer ending the book in blackface. It's fine.
Oh, okay. All right. Not offensive at all.